Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening and watching the Football Betting Podcast with me, Tom Pipkin, and my co host, Tom Walker. We're back with another action packed episode of the pod for you today. We got the FA Cup this weekend to look through, Championship, a little bit of Championship anyway, League One and League Two. We are sponsored by our good friends at matchbook.com. You can get a sign up bonus, £30 money back as a free bet if you sign up for Matchbook using the code TFB Podcast. Tom, welcome. No better place to start, I think, than our Undertaker-like streak, which is forming. Four in a row. Four podcast treble wins in a row. We're on a roll.
Yeah, we are. We'll go through it in more detail later, but 5.69 was the price. Lots of nice tweets at T_FB podcasts saying, I know you guys had a bit of a slow start, but kept the faith. Really glad that I did. Lots of people, really enjoying the run that we're on at the moment. It's important to note that this won't last forever. We said that when we were struggling, and it's only fair to point out it's not going to last forever as we're doing well as well. Obviously, we want people to take on board what we say, but we also want people to put their own thoughts against our research. So they're not just relying on what two lads on the pod say. But yeah, really enjoying it so far. And last time the FA Cup was out, Tom, and we said off air we're going to be dining out on this for a while. But last time we put an FA Cup tip out there, it was a 16-1 Stevenage away at Villa, and it came in. So I feel like the pressure is on to find the next underdog.
Big Steve Evans, he's got it for us again, isn't he? This next round, I think he could be the one. But yeah, anyway, let's look through the FA Cup then. First of all, so we're just going to pick out the ones we like. We're not going to go through all the games. It's the FA Cup fourth round. It begins on Friday night with the blockbuster game that is Man City against Arsenal. Anything that you fancy from this particular matchup? Because the first time these two sides have met this season. So even though it's the FA Cup and there might be rotated sides, and that's an important thing to say for all of our tips, we're going off form and what we think the size might be, but we never know what kind of levels of rotation there might be on the day. So please do check that out and check the team sheets. But yeah, Man City against Arsenal. Do you reckon these will go full strength?
You just honestly took all the research that I had because I don't have any tips because I don't know where the managers' heads are at. I feel like in certain ties we can predict who's going to go for what. I have no idea how this is going to go down. I feel like both teams will play 2/3 full strength because you don't want to go. Arsenal don't want to rotate, play the kids against Man City's first team, lose 4-0, and then kind of have that, give Man City that like head-to-head upper hand,
Yeah.
But you also don't want to play your full strength side because really, as much as I love the FA Cup, Man City want to win the league and the Champions League, and Arsenal want to win the league. So, yeah, honestly, watching brief, and maybe I'll throw a tip out there on Twitter because it's a big game once the teams come out. But yeah, nothing for me right now.
Yeah, I think that's smart advice. Just remember that's the Friday night, guys. So if you're listening to the pod on Saturday morning, you've missed it. Right, let's dive into Saturday's games first then, and then we'll take a look at Sunday's games. So there's a few that stand out for me. I'll get started with Sheffield Wednesday at home to Fleetwood, and this, funnily enough, is the exact game that we tipped out last weekend, wasn't it, on our winning treble?
Yes, it was.
Sheffield Wednesday were at home to Fleetwood last weekend in League One. They duly beat Fleetwood 1-0. And I think, rinse and repeat for me. Similar price, 1.46 for Sheffield Wednesday. I roughly remember them being a very similar price last weekend in the league. And I just think they'll do it again. All the reasons that we said last week for Sheffield Wednesday still stand. They're a very, very good home side. Let's not forget in the last round they beat Newcastle at home 2-1. So there's certainly no pushovers. They've got one of the best home records in League One. I know this isn't the league, but that will surely carry over into the FA Cup for me. Fleetwood, yeah, just really struggling generally in the league, and not the best away from home either. So yeah, I think they'll get another comfortable win here Wednesday.
It's not a good recipe, is it? Not a good recipe at all. I'm going to get us kicked off with both teams to score, actually.
Okay.
It's the early kickoff on Saturday, so early kickoff klaxon alert. It is Accrington Stanley against Leeds United. Both teams to score, yes, is 1.86. From an Aki Stanley point of view, in terms of their form at the moment, they got the 5th worst defence in League One as they fight against relegation. In terms of, league action, it's only 1 clean sheet in their last 5 league games. It's not been great at all at the back there. And then with Leeds, they've been, apart from a 0-0, which is obviously a huge blemish on my research. Previously, they'd scored in 5 consecutive games, and in those 5 games, they scored more than 1 4 times. Obviously, 5 last time out in the Cup against Cardiff, where they won 5-2 in a replay. Previously, before that, obviously, the game at Cardiff City Stadium, they drew 2-2. So good form in the FA Cup. Obviously, Wilfred Gnonto is someone that we all want to watch and someone who we're all very excited about. He was absolutely purring in that Cardiff game, and I imagine his tail is going to be up for this one as well. 1.86, both teams to score.
I like a little bit more. Considering Accrington are League One, I like a little bit more than that 1.81.
Yeah, I get that.
Tip still stands. I like the research, think upcoming. Luton at home to Grimsby for me, another odds-on favourite here. The Championship side against the League Two side, 1.47 for Luton to get a win. They're picking up steam quite nicely now under Rob Edwards, are Luton. They won 5 of the last 7 games across all competitions. Generally very tough to beat anyway at home. And Grimsby come to this game in very poor form away from home generally. They've lost 5 in a row away in the league, so that tells you they're poor travellers. Their only win in their last 6 away games was away to Cambridge in the FA Cup. So, considering how poor they're playing away from home in the league, I can't see that suddenly flipping on its head, especially away at a team that's really in form and a tough place to go like Luton. So this, for me, would be a massive coupon buster again. A Championship side losing to a League Two side at home and an out of form League Two side at that. I really can't see Luton slipping up here against Grimsby. I think they'll professionally get the job done. I don't think they'll smash Grimsby, but if Luton win 2-0, something steady like that, comfortable.
Yeah, I really liked Grimsby at the start of the season. If you cast your mind back, Tom, but I haven't spoke about them for a long time. I haven't been overly impressed, and Adebayo for Luton is showing some nice sparkling form. Another early kickoff tip for me, and this is an underdog that I like.
Yes.
So I want to ask you a question. If I'm backing the underdog,
Yep.
and the early kickoff curse strikes, is that in my favour or not in my favour?
That's in your favour for me.
Okay, so that means Walsall are going to beat Leicester at 9-2.
9 points, mate. You do yourself an injustice there. Not 9-2, 9.2.
Oh, sorry, sorry. 9.2, 9-2. Won't be back in that. No way. 9.2. Apologies. A few reasons here. Let's start off with Leicester. The priority for Leicester has to be staying in the league, surely. I think travelling away to a League Two side will give Brendan Rodgers enough temptation to rotate heavily. I think if he was going away to, let's use Luton as an example, I think he'd go full strength. I think going away to a League Two side, he might rotate 1 or 2 more than before. They're honestly really, really struggling in all assets when you have a look at their record. what's going on at the moment at Leicester. It's very congested and everything, but only 9 points from 10 games on their travels this season. It's around just below mid-table, but I think that's quite a low number to be just below mid-table, to be honest with you. And then in terms of their defence, they've got the second worst defence in the league. 35 goals conceded over the last 20 games, and they are the sixth worst team over the last 8 games. Now, lots of pressure on, lots of injuries still for Leicester. Now let's flip it to Walsall, and you know how this is going to go. They are the best team in League Two over the last 8 games. They've yielded 17 points from their last 8. Their home record is the 7th best in the league. And in terms of their defence as well, they've got the 3rd best defence. I would like it if they were a little bit stronger going forward, I'll be honest with you. They've got around a mid-table points return for that, 30 from 24. But I think there's something to fish at here. Whether we get a bite or not, I'm not sure. But I know I'll be having a little bit of fun on that. 9.2. If the teams come out, and this is one to get on before the teams come out. Because if the teams come out and Leicester's team is weakened, you're going to see that price tumble.
Yeah, definitely. And there are going to be upsets. I'm sure it's guaranteed almost there are going to be upsets. And it's just picking them out. And this is a candidate, that's for sure. Absolute candidate. I'm going to look towards Burnley away at Ipswich. 2.28 is the price for Burnley. I really like it, to be honest, to get them at such a good price. I know Ipswich are good, doing well in League One, pretty strong home side, but come on, this is Burnley. They're on such a good run of form. 6 wins in a row across all competitions. We saw in the last round, Burnley went away to Bournemouth and beat Bournemouth away 4-2. And I know Bournemouth aren't in a fantastic place in the Premier League at the moment, but this is a Burnley side running rampant in the Championship, knocking off a Premier League side away from home in emphatic fashion. And if they can do that, they can certainly go away to Ipswich and get a result. Some of their recent away results that we've seen, they've gone away to Swansea and won. They've gone away to Sunderland and put 4 past Sunderland at the Stadium of Light and won there. Kind of lost 2-0 to Manchester United, but that's no disgrace in the EFL Cup. But yeah, I think Burnley are they're obviously on fantastic form, and I think the train marches on, I think, for Burnley here.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing obviously we don't have to agree on every single tip, of course. That would make for a very boring show. But yeah, the only thing that makes me nervous about Burnley is I'm still learning a lot of their players. They've made a ton of January signings. I don't know anything about any of them, I don't think, to be honest with you. They're all obviously from scouting networks beyond my knowledge. I trust what they do as a club at the moment under Company and the new owners. I'm sure they're all good players, but it's a little bit too much of an unknown quantity for me at the moment, even though Ipswich have taken a bit of a nosedive, which I totally respect.
But I think one of the things, I know we're talking about team sheets and who's going to play, I think because Burnley are in such a good position in the league, where almost automatic is almost stone up, I'd say. They're so far clear. This isn't a game where they need to rotate unless he wants to give other players an opportunity. If they want to play full strength, they could do. Whereas Ipswich, on the other hand, are fighting tooth and nail to finish in the top two spots in League One. So this isn't priority for them. Whereas Burnley have kind of got their priority, which is promotion, almost done. So, this is just a free hit, and let's have a good cup run for Burnley, I think.
Okay. Valid point. All right, let's move on to Tottenham. They're 1.26, so this isn't going to get too much airtime. But I think, we got to look at Preston here, 3rd worst home record in the Championship this season. Just 13 from 14 games. And Tottenham, obviously, constantly being questioned, I feel like, Tom, in the media. I went against them. I backed Fulham the other night, thinking they might slip up. They won. I thought they might lose against Palace as well. I backed Palace. They won. Yes, there's a couple of wobbly results in there. Obviously, Arsenal and Man City, they lost pretty emphatically. But again, this is another game away from home where you're looking at it, and on the surface, you might be thinking, I tell you what, can really see Tottenham slipping up here. But I think Preston are just about the perfect opponent. No wins at Deepdale since the 1st of November. That was a 1-0 win over Swansea. So, yeah, incredibly short, but they should have enough no matter what team they put out.
Yep. Any more for Saturday for you? Because there's no more for me.
No, come on, take it away on Sunday. I can't wait to hear this now.
3 games on Sunday, all interesting ones. Brighton against Liverpool, Stoke against Stevenage, and Wrexham against Sheffield United. I think you could pick a good priced accumulator if things go the way they could.
I tell you what, you take us through your tip, and I will build it right now, and I'll let you know what it pays once you've done going through your team you talk about.
Firstly, I'm going to go for Brighton. Then I think they'll knock off Liverpool. 2.6 is the price for Brighton. They're the outsiders for this game. Liverpool the favourites at 2.42. I think Liverpool's last game in the FA Cup when they played Wolves probably gives us an indication of the kind of team that Klopp will put out in this one. Liverpool generally aren't on good form anyway, but I expect him to play a similar side to what he did against Wolves, and I'm talking starts for players like Fabio Carvalho, Bajcetic, Harvey Elliott, Gakpo, Tsimikas maybe, Milner probably right back. And I think if Brighton put 2/3 full strength out, they should be more than good enough to beat that strength Liverpool side. And we've already seen these two sides play each other recently in the league. Brighton won 3-0 at home not very long ago. So they'll be coming into this full of confidence, knowing A, that they can beat Liverpool comfortably, as they have done. And 2, if it's a weakened Liverpool side, it gives Brighton even more confidence. Again, I think, like you mentioned with Walsall Leicester, this is one to get on Brighton before the team sheets come out. Because if the team sheets do come out, and it is as I expect, Liverpool won't be the favourites anymore.
No. 57.5 to 1 is the Sunday treble of Brighton to beat Liverpool, Stevenage to beat Stoke, which is what I'm going to talk about now, and Wrexham to beat Sheffield United. Please gamble responsibly. We're not saying it's going to come in, but we are saying that it might be a little bit of a Sunday fun day, something fun to entertain us as we watch the scores come in. Yeah, Tom, let's talk about Stevenage. They moved into the bookies' favourites for promotion on the weekend. Huge game in League Two for those of you who don't really listen or aren't bothered about League Two. They played Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient were injury depleted, but it was a top versus second tussle, and Stevenage took them apart 3-0. Comprehensive, absolute men against boys kind of stuff. And we obviously again backed them with the 16 to 1 away at Aston Villa, just based on the fact that they are built on solid foundations. They're an absolutely frightening team from set pieces, to be honest with you. They've got some real monsters at the back and up front, to be honest with you. They haven't lost in their last 6 games, and they're going away to a Stoke team who annoyingly beat Reading last time out at home 4-0. Now, I'm going to caveat that and say that Reading away from home been pretty woeful this season. I'm hoping that Stoke capitalise on how bad Reading were, as opposed to Stoke putting in a masterclass. Stoke are a boat without a paddle, really. I feel like they're just kind of floating at the moment, and they're without a lot of direction, a lot of hope. They are in a relegation battle. They are 7 points clear. That sounds like a lot, but that doesn't take too much to be overturned. They're definitely looking over their shoulder and making sure that they stay safe this season. Um, they have the fifth worst home record in the league. They have a worse home record than struggling sides like Cardiff and Huddersfield, and obviously Rotherham, who are propped up by their start to the season under Paul Warne before he left. I think this has potential, Tom. This has potential for Stevenage to go there, and that Steve Evans is going to have them bang up for it. He's going to say, if you can go away and beat Villa, you can go away and beat these lot, right?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like in my head they've already won. I'm so convinced that Stevenage are going to win this game.
Yeah,
I really am. Yeah, and it's a great price, isn't it?
yeah,
Obviously,
it's a cracker.
nowhere near as good as a Villa price, but that's to be expected. But
Sure,
it's still a cracking price for Stevenage to get a result here. Even
yeah.
if you want to take a bit more caution with it and maybe go double chance, I still think you're going to get a return on that personally.
They're a better price. So obviously, Stevenage are 2 leagues apart from Stoke, and they are away from home, but they're a bigger price than Wrexham, who are a non-league team, against a team in Sheffield United who are in the automatic championship promotion spots. So
Yeah. Well, shall we talk about Wrexham then?
yeah,
They're the
take
final
it away.
game
Yeah.
for Sunday. They're 4.2 to get the win at home to Sheffield United. Sheffield United 1.7 favourites. Here you've got the National League's best home side against the Championship's best away side. So for me, out of the 3 games that we've just spoken about, this is the one that I'm most unsure about, to be honest. But Wrexham have played 12, won 12 in the National League, so you can't argue with their home record, scoring on average just under 4 per match. So they're in fantastic home form, but yeah, Sheffield United away form is very good themselves. So I, I'm unsure, but I just believe in the magic of the FA Cup. Is what is what I feel like.
I really like that. So bloody sweet that is. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I just Wrexham are getting a lot of coverage. It's going to be on television. They're getting obviously with the whole Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney stuff. They're getting a lot of coverage now in America. I don't know. I just think this season's really built up for Wrexham to go on a big cup run. You can just imagine on next year's Disney Plus documentary, can't you? That they show this game, Wrexham get a last minute winner or something like that. The cup run goes on. It's just I don't know. On
Have you
paper,
watched?
Sheffield United probably should win because they're much the better side, really. But the magic of the FA Cup, that's what I'm saying.
Have you watched the documentary?
I have, yeah.
Hmm.
It's all right. It's all
I
right.
started watching it, and then my wife had a look at the TV. She saw Ryan Reynolds, and she was like, "Oh, what's this?" Told her all about it, and she was like, "Well, that sounds interesting. I'd like to watch that with you." I was like, "Yeah, okay, that sounds great." So I stopped watching it, and I haven't tuned in since. I think that was in November. So I need to get on it.
Yeah, it's all right. Like they break it down a lot for the American viewer who probably doesn't know an awful lot about football. Like they
Hmm.
explain the whole pyramid and how the rules of football and promotion and relegation, how that
Oh
works and stuff
God,
like that. So it
yeah,
does get dumbed down quite a lot, but
yeah.
no, it's still good. It's good.
All right.
Definitely worth a watch. It's long though. It drags on a bit. It's about 20 episodes or something stupid like that.
Bloody hell.
Yeah,
Okay,
didn't probably need to go on for quite so many episodes, but it was decent.
it's quite the commitment.
Yeah. And okay, well, there's your Sunday treble. Hopefully that one wins. Then we'll all be rich. Let's talk about Matchbook for a moment, and then we'll move into the Championship, League One and League Two.
Yes. Do you know what? The FA Cup, I think we said this in the third round. The FA Cup's a great opportunity to take advantage of this promotion from Matchbook. It's a money back as a free bet offer up to £30 when you deposit as a new customer. So this gives you basically a free bet, essentially, or a risk-free bet. So if you do fancy Wrexham, Walsall, or Stevenage, or anything like that, and you want a little bit more assurance, open an account with Matchbook. Use the promotional code TFB podcast, as in the football betting podcast, all one word, and you can get yourself a safety net. And you know what? Sheffield United do beat Wrexham 3-0 and they show their almost Premier League might, then not a problem. You get that money back as a free bet to put on something else on the Matchbook website. So, yeah, support the pod, support Matchbook, and check it out. Give yourself a safety net this weekend.
Yep, cool. So let's go to the Championship. There's only 3 games. This will be a very brief stop in the Championship here. Coventry, Huddersfield, Hull, QPR, and Middlesbrough, Watford. Nothing to talk about here for me here.
This is the train stops when
Yep.
it stops at this tiny little town, and you think, who the bloody hell is getting off here? And nobody gets off, right? This is what the Championship is. Next stop, League One.
Yeah. Right, let's move quickly into League One. Perfect little analogy there. I love that. Yeah, well, much more to sink our teeth into it in League One. We've got 8 games here. I'm going to get us kicked off with a potentially big outsider. Forest Green Rovers away at Shrewsbury. Statistically, absolutely nothing to back up.
I knew you were going to pick this game.
I'm so predictable. I love a new manager bounce, and we're recording on Thursday. It has been announced today that Duncan Ferguson of previously Everton is going to take over Forest Green as their new manager. Struck me out of the blue, that one, because I saw him being linked with the bloody Everton job the other day. And
Hey, big Dunk the vegan.
Yeah, and now here he is. He's popping up at Forest Green. Look, he's a guy. We've seen him do it at Everton. If you want someone to come in, inspire, maybe get an instant result or two, he can certainly do that. And he did it at Everton, and he may do it at Forest Green. Shrewsbury are a team who can be beaten. They're on a decent run of form, but generally a mid-table side. 4.9 is the price of Forest Green, and I just see it. I think new manager, 4.9, and I can't turn it down, even though they've been terrible.
No, I do get it. Do you know what? Listen, normally I hate new manager bounce. I don't actually believe in it. But if I'm thinking of someone coming in and getting a reaction, a Duncan Ferguson type of manager is what springs to mind. Right? I don't know if... let's have a think here. I don't think Russell Martin at Swansea...
Yeah.
Right? He plays a very pretty, progressive, fancy, modern style, heavy passing patterns, blah, blah, blah. I don't feel like he is a character who seems quite methodical and reserved and a lot more of a thinker of the game. I don't think he comes in and inspires instantly. I think it's over time.
Yeah.
I feel like a Duncan Ferguson, I don't want to do him a discredit because maybe he's the next Pep Guardiola, I don't know. But I feel like he probably relies more on the emotional side of management, the man management, motivating players, putting rockets up arses. I feel like he could come in and have an instant impact and then fade over time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, nail on the head with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we are going to back a new manager bounce, I'm okay with it being Big Dunk. Okay, let's move into Oxford, Tom.
Yep.
I am back in Oxford this weekend. They're at 2.5. I think that's quite a good price, in all honesty. They're away at Burton, and I mentioned on the show last time that I was really worried about Burton. They lost 5-0 to Morecambe, relegation rivals Morecambe. They lost 1-0 away at League Two Grimsby in the FA Cup. That worried me again. And then they followed that up with a 4-0 home loss to Shrewsbury. Now, Shrewsbury are a more than capable mid-table side who might get a win here, there, and everywhere. And, they'll probably win one, lose one, draw one for the rest of the season and finish 12th. For them to go there and score 4, that's quite a red flag for me. Obviously, don't need to be a genius to work out that means Burton haven't scored in 3 consecutive games. Something's happened at Burton. I feel like they've literally dropped off a cliff because before that, they beat Forest Green. Okay, Forest Green under Ian Burton may not have been the toughest, but then they beat Lincoln at home 3-0. Sure, they lost to Barnsley. I'm not bothered about that. Then previously before that, they drew to Derby in the league. Derby are on fire at the moment. Drew away at MK Dons. Okay, that's decent. Then a couple of cup competition results. Drew at home to Plymouth. Drew at home to Charlton. I just feel like something's gone on. And Oxford, they've not been incredible. Let's not pretend like these guys are on fire or anything. But they did beat Ipswich at home 2-1. Not last match day where they lost to Wickham, the match day before. And the match day before the Ipswich result, they beat Fleetwood 2-1 on the travels. I feel like if they can beat Ipswich and Fleetwood in their last 3, they've got what it takes to go to Burton and win. So yeah, I'm back in Oxford.
Cool. No more in League One for me. Are there any for you?
No. Flirted with Bristol Rovers away at Morecambe, but I think I'm going to let that one sit.
Okay, well, let's dive into League Two then. Want to get us kicked off?
I've got 2 scary tips.
I do, yeah.
This weekend, so I knew you were going to pass
January.
it over to me.
I didn't think it was Halloween yet, but it's January. Come on, here we go.
No, honestly, I feel like these 2 are high prices, but I do feel like they are reliable tips that I'll be backing myself this weekend. We need to re-educate ourselves about Colchester United. They are away at Hartlepool United. They're 2.86 for Colchester. January signings, strengthening, new manager-ish in Matt Bloomfield. And basically they've won 3 on the spin away from home after not winning all season on the road. I'm not saying they've cracked it and they're the best team ever, but that's pretty impressive stuff. They've avoided defeat in 4 of their last 5, 3 of them being wins. And they're against Mysterious Curl and Hartlepool, who are in 22nd, and I think they look like they're in big trouble. When I look at their results recently, it's just 1 win in their last 6, and that came against Rochdale, who I'm going to get onto later. I think Rochdale are the worst team in the league. So what does that tell us? That tells us that Hartlepool are on the ropes. Colchester are shedding a new skin, and they are showing some very inspiring form, to be honest with you. Last time out, a draw against Salford only added to my confidence in them. I feel like Salford are a tough nut to crack, and that's a decent result. If you believe in historics, Hartlepool's last home win against Colchester was in 2011. I feel like we just need to, again, re-educate ourselves about some of these teams. Teams change through the season and over time. So I've gone against Colchester consistently all season, but now I want to be their friend again because 2.84.
Cool. One for me, and it's a loose one. It's a very loose one because it's Leyton Orient and they're getting the heebie-jeebies up towards the top of the league. I'm sure they'll still get promoted, but they're on a poor run of form. They've won 1 of their last 6 in League Two, and they've only scored 1 goal, and that was in that 1-0 victory. The other 5 games, they've failed to find the back of the net, which is concerning. They're still comfortably within the automatic promotion places by 10 points. But a little bit of the wobblies starting to set in after their fantastic start to the season. I I'm just being sucked in by the price. In all honesty, it's 2.98 for Leighton Orient, and I know they're on a bad run, but this is a side in second who have been absolutely fantastic. With a month or so ago, 6 weeks ago, would have bit everybody's hand off for nearly 2-1 for Leighton Orient away from home at a team like Tranmere. Because Tranmere aren't anything particularly special, with all due respect, this season. They've won one of the last seven, home and away. So they're not on very good form themselves. And if Leighton Orient can start to find a bit of form, this is the kind of game that, in the first 3-4 months of the season, they won fairly routinely. And they're going to pick back up again. I'm sure they will. They're far too good. The manager's too good to let this slump continue for too much longer. And if it is going to be this weekend, they're a big price to do it.
I really like the thinking. I really do. No, honestly, like I really do like the thinking. Obviously, we have to find out whether this is a blip or whether this is the start of a collapse, as you said. But eventually, I think it will turn, and I think they'll be all right. And I think that's a good one. My EFL tip of the week is Carlisle. They're away at Rochdale, who I just described as the worst team in the league. I think that is fair. They are bottom of the EFL, so obviously I don't sound like too much of a genius, but I think that they're on merit. They've lost 9 of 13 at Spotland this season. They've only scored 11 goals at home all season. They've only scored 22 in total in the 27 games, conceding 41 with a goal difference of minus 19. Just basically really worried about Rochdale and what's going to happen. Obviously, they changed their manager, didn't they? Not too long ago. They brought in Jim Bentley, who, if you may remember, saved Morecambe year after year after year when they were in League Two. But, he had a small effect early on. He reminds me of the Duncan Ferguson type, where he might have got them rallied, and now it's starting to slowly unravel. I feel like every season, Tom, there's a team that is bottom of nearly every stat that I read, and I see Rochdale at the bottom of the league, the last 8. Their home form is the worst in the league. They're the only team to get single digits at home in terms of points. They've got 8th and 13. Newport, 23rd in that table, 12th and 13. So a 4-point gap. In terms of their away form, it's actually relatively respectable in 15th. But then, we have a look at their attack. It's the 3rd worst. We have a look at their defence. It's amazingly not the worst. 41 goals in 27. Hartlepool, who I mentioned, I think will lose 50 goals in 27 games shipped. Mm-hmm. And then, Carlisle. Really liking what I'm seeing. I feel like they're going very under the radar. Not many people are talking about the fact that they're a point off the automatic promotion spots. As you mentioned, Tom, Leighton Orient, Stevenage, they are running away with it a little bit, but there is a 3rd auto spot open, and Carlisle are well within that reach, I think. Away from home, they've had decent form this season. They've got the 5th best record on the travels, but we're basically pitting the 2nd worst defence in League Two against the best attack. 42 goals scored in 26 games for the Cumbrians. I think this is an absolute steal of a price, and I think you'll find this will be a very, very, very easy win for Carlisle. 2.12.
Yep, lovely stuff. Definitely can see them getting a win. And that's it for me. No more tips.
Yeah, no more from me either. So we're just going to have a quick look back at last weekend's treble in more detail. And then we're going to reveal our treble for this week as we go for 5 on-the-show trebles in a row. So last week, Tom, unbelievably comfortable. It was so good. Luton away at Wigan, they were the scariest, really. They won 2-0, no problem. We had Plymouth against Cheltenham. Now, Cheltenham did come roaring back and score 2 at Home Park, but they conceded 4 at the other end, so we were okay there. Sheffield Wednesday, beat Fleetwood 1-0 in a relatively comfortable game, to be honest with you. I know the scoreline doesn't really look that way, but by all accounts, a very comfortable performance. 5.69 was the price.
Yep. So we're going to go for hopefully a repeat again this week. Slightly lower paying treble this week. It pays 4.69 overall. And we're going to go for 2 FA Cup games in Luton at home to Grimsby and Sheffield Wednesday at home to Fleetwood. And then in League Two, Carlisle away at Rochdale. So yeah, £10 example stake would pay £46.90 with matchbook.com there. So yeah, hopefully we can land another winner in a row. What was the Undertaker's streak again? 21-0. Did he get to?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So we've got a way to go. Hopefully we can go for 5 this weekend. But as ever, as you have been doing, we love to see any bet slips that you have on and any winners you get throughout the course of the weekend. Spot those upsets. Let us know what you think the upsets are going to be this weekend, because like I say, there's going to be some, I'm sure of it.
I'll tell you what, the Undertaker was on 4 when he did his 21. He was at 4 once, and he got all the way up to 21. So why not us?
Imagine, jeez.
Let's talk about fancy football. We're obviously taking a break from that this weekend with no Premier League action, but we'll recap what happened last week. Yeah, I'm just sick of this game, to be honest with you. I got more than the average points, and I went down in the league. And
Yeah.
it's just absolutely soul destroying. 249th, I am.
Yeah, 207 for me. 72 points. Captained Haaland, as probably most people do. But yeah, went down again. Crap game.
Crap game. Why do we bother? Blah blah blah. Yeah, but no, honestly, it's a great league to be running. It's a really good community tool for anyone who follows the Football Betting Podcast. 320 teams are in the league. The top 10 is as follows in reverse order. Neil McCloy, Danny Whiteman, David Arias, Daniel O'Reilly, Chris Postings. I think that might be a new name, maybe.
Sounds new, yep.
Michael Tomlinson, Tola AW, Dan Pinsker, Johan Ekstrom, and Pat Ravenhall still hanging on to top spot and the free £20 bet. If you want to join our league, you can do. You just need to ask us for the league code and have a team with the official Fantasy Premier League website. You can get it by asking for it on Twitter, T_FB podcast. We are well on our way to 3,000 followers now. So if you could join us and help us get there, hashtag road to 3K, then that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, please do. And if you've really enjoyed the show, we'd appreciate a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcast to help us on our way there. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, most of all. And we'll be back again same time next week when it's normal service with Premier League, Championship, League One and League Two. But yeah, let's enjoy the FA Cup this weekend. Hope for a bit of magic sprinkled all over our bets. And we'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.